I want to thank you so much for making time to chat with me today. I love your background. Your background is
Oh,
absolutely gorgeous.
thank you. I mean, I'm in a service department right now in New York, so I get a
Okay.
nice sort of wall covering. It's lovely.
How bananas is it in New York right now with the New York Knicks and like the NBA finals? Like, are you around all of the chaos?
I mean, I'm not around that chaos. I'm around sort of production chaos right now, but it's funny. I just did a show with Ben Stiller, and he's a
Mhm.
huge Knicks fan. So I think
Yes.
he's very happy that they're in the finals, I'm sure.
So, of course, we're here to talk about all of the success behind the Testaments as well as Imperfect Women. Let me just jump in and ask if you're being like very candid and honest, which, and this may be a weird question, right? But which project did you enjoy the most? Like, which project came with like more ease for you?
I mean, gosh, I was just so lucky that I got to do both projects. I guess, of course, I love doing both, but I guess I have a special place in my heart for Testaments, because I think its message and what it stands for, I really believed in and I thought was important. And I like being a part of something that I feel is, sends an interesting and strong and powerful message. I guess that's why we're here when we tell the stories we tell. I want to be part of a culture that, holds up a mirror to society to sort of think about who we are
Yeah.
and the choices we're making as a culture and as a society. So that was really important to me, and I feel like going to work every day. Everyone there felt the same, so it felt like we were part of something really special. Um, and Imperfect Women was a lot of fun. It was really also very important. There was a very female-driven sort of show with all those lead actresses who were also executive producers. They were storytellers. They were um, believed in sort of female-forward friendship and sort of empowerment, which that was also so exciting to be a part of. So I think they were all female directors. So it was great to be a part of that energy as well. So, lucky that I got to do both.
I really want to get into the momentum of everything. You're on fire right now, but you've always worked on impeccable projects. Your work is absolutely astounding. And I'm not just saying that. I'm
Thank
definitely a
you.
big fan of your work in general, but specifically with the Testaments. You directed episodes 6 and 7, 106 and 107. I want you to talk to me, Jet, about keep coming in kind of like in the middle
Yeah.
of a series in a project like this and finding a seamless flow with keeping the momentum going. Like, what was that entire experience like for you?
Yeah. I mean, being part of season one was really special. So you're still sort of finding the show with everyone. So it's not like you're coming into episode 6 and 7 of like, a season show where they all know what it is and you've got to sort of click into that. I think with Testaments, everyone was sort of finding what the tone was and finding their feet in terms of who the characters were. So it was nice to be a part of sort of the development and evolution of that.
Yeah.
Um, and seamlessly would be because I think of many factors. One being, I was very lucky to be working with the lead cinematographer. So Greta Zazula, she set the show up. So visually, I was able to really lockstep with her and listen to what she'd set up, so I could sort of follow in that footsteps, but also bring something to it. And also, it's part of a canon. It's part of, a world that's already established, of course, with Handmaid's Tale. So there's a lot of sort of groundwork that you can sort of step into, which is why I think it's so seamless. But being a season one of also a brand new show, you're also able to sort of find new things. So it was the best of both worlds, really.
Mhm. Do you have a preference when it comes to coming in either at the end of a project or kickstarting and jumpstarting everything off from the jump?
Yeah.
Like, do you personally have a professional preference there?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be able to do pilots and finales and then mid-season episodes, as an episode director. I like all of it. You know, you sort of you sort of approach it differently depending on sort of where in the season you're coming. Of course, with a pilot, it's very exciting because you get to literally cast the show and just create the world from the ground up. Um, but there's I enjoy doing the middle as well because I think it's like a team sport. It's like different sort of batters on a baseball team or on where I'm from a cricket team. The opening batsmen set up the innings for someone, and then the people who come in the middle sort of try and consolidate that, or the people who come in at the end, finish it. So I like playing all the different roles. I was really lucky to come in mid-season here where they had sort of really had a great start with Mike Barker, the pilot director, and set up a really fun show. And I was able to really take advantage of all the groundwork he had done and the actors had done before I got there. So each different sort of part of the series or the season has its own special sort of approach, and I think
Yeah.
each has its own sort of advantages.
So that wants to take me over to Imperfect Women, where you episode the monsters episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. When you are episode 3, right?
I did the finale there actually.
Did you? Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean that's a good example of finishing off
Yeah.
this sort of the story, and it's like the privilege of being a sort of land the plane as they call it, and
Yeah.
sort of think there's a really important to sort of again do your homework and watch as much as you can watch episodes that have been cut or
Yeah.
dailies, read everything, and sort of really talk to the showrunners and the writers of like, what is the world? What's the genesis of the idea? Where did that idea come from? Just so you understand the journey, so you're able to understand sort of where each character has to sort of get to the place they need to be by the end of the show. So that was a lot of fun and like highly chaotic and crazy and but very important sort of emotionally. So a lot of fun on that one.
And I think when you're talking about getting the characters ultimately to where it is they need to be, or the direction and just executing like your overall directorial vision,
Yeah.
right? How are you as a director, Jet, building trust with the talent on set? Like, is it challenging for you? How are you really locking in with each and every single cast member that
That's a
you're basically,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it is, especially as an episode director or TV director, you don't always have a lot of time with the actors. You're coming in, like you say, mid-season, end of season, and you've got to lockstep with them very quickly and build a
Yeah.
relationship with them very quickly. How do we do that? I guess it's, again, I think the most important part of a director is to listen. And
Yeah.
I think I like to sort of listen to an actor and understand their point of view, understand their approach, and understand their process, and sort of trying to find a way sort of to communicate with them, that speaks to them. And I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to sort of really honestly communicate with and connect with everyone on set. It's very important that you sort of hear people. And from a practical sense, I literally do. I do watch a lot of dailies, so I can see how they're sort of walking in the shoes of their characters and sort of seeing how they're approaching sort of their performance and then of course chatting to them and rehearsing with them and sort of asking them what they think about the script and certain scenes and how they want to approach it.
I'm not sure if this is a ridiculous question, but I'm very interested to know, like, as a director and also obviously like a producer, executive producer, how much say do you have in casting? Is it just strictly the casting directors and the casting team, or do you have any type of say in who's being cast for certain projects or not as a director?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think certainly when you're a pilot director, you are
Oh,
able to be part of the process of building the cast from the ground up,
mhm.
from, the lead actor, actress through to, all the different types of roles. So that's fun. And that's a big, long process of, meeting with a lot of people, doing a lot of auditions and callbacks and, being a part of executive conversations with studios and networks and showrunners. So that's a very big, long process, and it's a lot of fun. It's can be nerve-wracking too, because you kind of, building an ensemble that you hope, work well together.
Yeah.
Um, but then even when you're doing mid-season episodes, you have the opportunity to be a part of probably like guest artists and characters that are in your episodes. So you absolutely have an opportunity to be a part of casting. Just depends on how many guest casts are in your episodes when you're not doing the pilot.
So, in doing my research on you, and obviously, honestly, being a fan of your work, I have noticed that you have your hands very heavy into series
Hmm.
versus movies.
Yeah,
Talk to me about that because if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe you've directed a full length film yet,
I
right?
haven't. And
Talk to me about that.
yeah,
Let's.
it's kind of, I find it sort of disappointing and sad because I'd like to, and I've tried. It's the film industry is tough at the moment anyway, of sort of, getting films made. And no matter what era, getting films made is always very hard. Just the development of them, the sort of setting them up, financially.
Yeah.
And it's a tougher field to break into if you don't have a track record. So it's that thing of the chicken or the egg. It's like you need a film to get a film, and vice
Yeah.
versa. So I think they like to look at, box office success or yeah, I mean, I think it's box office success, or if you've done something, even if it's indie and small, if you've done something with sort of, award success.
Yeah.
Um, so it's hard to sort of A, be attached to a film, or B, have a film made, even if you're attached. So I've been attached to films before, but they've never ended up sort of moving past the development process because of finance or casting or, you know, the process along the way just sort of has fallen away. So it's tough, but I'd love to do it. It's creating worlds and sort of telling stories from my own specific point of view with my own specific style would be something that I'd love to do.
Yeah, I really wanted to know that and ask you that because and I've asked directors and producers like, do they have a preference as to a movie or a series? And more often than not, they do take the direction of the series. So I
Hmm.
really, really wanted to ask you that and to see like if somewhere down the line, like we can be hopeful, to see, and if you're even passionate about it, right? Because you've
Yeah.
been like, no, I'm not interested in like directing a movie. Like I'm a series person.
Yeah. Oh, I'd absolutely love to. And I'm still out there trying, pitching and sort of I've written my own film. So yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to do. But at the same time, I do love directing television because it's if I can try and bring as much cinematic approach and a specific point of view, I just love filming and working with actors and working on sets. So to be able to do it every day in TV is honestly so much fun and such a privilege.
Do you have a project that you've worked on that even still till this day you feel like has been the most challenging project for you to work on?
Yeah, I think pilots are very challenging. I think because yeah,
Really?
it is again like a film, finding that world and creating that world and sort of being the pilot director. You're the one that sort of shapes that. You're the one that leads that. So there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of unknowns. So it's a lot of discovery. So there's it's a lot of sort of finding trust in yourself and finding trust in the people around you and sort of trying to navigate that. And it's very hard, but it's also very rewarding. So yeah, I mean, I did a pilot called Ballard with Maggie Q for Amazon, and that was actually a lot of fun. That setup was really great because again, it was in a canon with the Michael Connolly book series, so
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. And that had a lot of success, and I was really proud of that. So there's always sort of it's always worth the hard work.
Yeah. How long does it typically take you? And this may be another ridiculous question, right? Because maybe it's dependent upon the characters and the parent dependent upon the project itself. But if we're looking at directing one episode, how
Hmm.
long does that typically take you at this point in your career?
So it's generally part of when you're coming into a show with a schedule. If if like network TV shows, the old sort of rotation of a network TV show was 7 days of prep and 8 days of shoot and like 4 days of editing. That I haven't done that for a long time, and that sort of schedule is sort of changing a lot with streaming. They're doing
Mhm.
a lot more sort of 2 episode block shoots. So right now I'm doing a show, and I'll probably be here for a good 2 months.
Okay.
Um, except plus, I think because there's a lot more to prep and a lot more to shoot, and sort of it becomes a little bit more complicated and a longer process, but it takes a little while. Yeah, these days.
And I know you're busy. I know my time is wrapping with you. So I would like to know, how do you honestly feel about this phase of your career? You're making great, and you've made great waves, as a female director. Like, we know that that world is ever evolving in the best way, right?
Yeah,
How are
absolutely.
you feeling about the projects that you are saying yes to, that you're taking on, and being a female director in 2026?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love being able to be in a position where I can choose the projects and feel like I'm a part of something that's important in the landscape of, yeah, female directors, a female voice, um, uh, a certain specific point of view. And so that's very humbling to me, but very exciting for me that I'm able to sort of start carving out sort of a niche for myself in terms of what I'd like to do, which is generally a female point of view and a generally a diverse point of view, because I have a diverse background in terms of how I see the world. So
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to sort of make an impact in terms of the type of stories we tell, and sort of who's leading telling those stories. It's hopefully inspiring other people to feel like they can get up and do it too, and that there's space for them, and that we're paving a way where people want to hear what we have to say.
Who do you feel like has helped to pave the way for you to be where you are right now as a female director in this industry? And I would say in Hollywood, but you're worldwide, right? You're nationally, international,
Yeah.
local, all the things. Who are some of those individuals you feel have truly helped to pave the way for you?
I mean, I think I worked with Lena Waithe on The Shy, and
Yeah.
she was such a powerhouse, and she had such a sort of sense of self, and such as a sense of wanting to sort of make a difference, and sort of bringing people into her circle to be a part of that. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing that show with her. I did 2 seasons of that, and it
Mhm.
changed my life. And I looked up to her, and I was very inspired by her. And so Lena, very much, I mean, there's even been people back home in Australia who put a lot of faith in me and sort of saw a lot of hope and potential in me. And,
Mhm.
I've been lucky along the way of people sort of feeling like there was, that I had sort of a point of view. So I think, specifically Lena here, also, Warren Littlefield, who hired me on The Old Man, he hired me on Testaments. And we've been talking about other projects. So, a lot of people who sort of feel like they can trust me with their stories, but also want to hear what my story is, and sort of how what I can bring to it.
Oh my God. Well, I just want to say it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for making time to
Thank you so
interview with
much.
me today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on everything that you have going on. And I look forward to every other project that you have in the works right now,
Yeah,
because you have quite a few things coming up.
yeah, it's
So
exciting.
you're busy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jet. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.